Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday. This is your Wednesday workshop and also blessed Holy Week this week. This is one of my favorite weeks. We're coming up on Good Friday here in a couple of days, and we're coming up on Resurrection Day on Sunday. So this is just a really exciting week. I always feel like I'm in a new spirit this week or I'm really refreshed. I always feel this way. I don't know if it's just the fact that it's springtime and the trees are budding and the birds are chirping in the morning, but I really feel like the Holy Spirit is moving through the world. And I feel that I had this sense that there's this good thing to come. So usually on our Wednesday workshops, we do a lot of mindset stuff because it's Wednesday, right? It's the hump day of the week, right? And so I have a tendency to do a lot of motivational and mindset stuff on Wednesday, because if there's any day that you need a little bit of motivation, it's probably Wednesday, right? I always joke that medical doctors usually go golfing on Wednesday. There's a reason for it, right? So today, though, I think I'm going to switch things up a little bit, and I want to talk to you more about the systems or the logistics, specifically of the day one. I have a really good friend, and I always love doing the day one. And the reason why I love doing the day one is because I feel like that every time I have an opportunity to do a day one or a new patient, I always feel like that's a brand new opportunity for me to share chiropractic, and it's a brand new opportunity to take somebody out of the medical vortex, as I call it, and get them into the chiropractic lifestyle, right? And I always see that as this awesome opportunity to be able to do that, to share the chiropractic message and change somebody's life. And I have a really good friend. He's a phenomenal chiropractor. I mean, he's one of the best chiropractors that I know, and he's also one of the most principled chiropractors that I know. And up until now, or up until recently, he told me that he hated doing the day one, and I was like, "How? Why? You're a great chiropractor. You have such a passion for serving humanity. You have such a passion for the chiropractic principle. It's something that you love to share. Why isn't your day one effortless for you? How can that be?" Right. And so the day one, I always felt like was effortless, right? And I look forward to it. And he's like, "No," he's like, "I always dread it. I don't look forward to seeing new patients." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, what the heck?" And I said, "Well, why?" And he said, "Well, it's not that I don't love new patients. Obviously, everybody wants new patients." He said, "But I always have felt like I had to pull teeth and twist arms and convince people that the chiropractic lifestyle was the way to live." And he's like, after a while, he goes, "I just got tired of trying to convince people." So do any of you out there feel like you are having to twist somebody's arm to start care in your office, or you have to convince them that the chiropractic lifestyle is a better alternative to the medical lifestyle? Or do you ever feel like you're having to sell people on the day one or the day two? Well, if you do, then today's systems are going to be for you. And hopefully this will ignite your fuel and ignite your flame to start seeing new patients. And there's something really magical about that, because when you become excited about seeing new patients, and when you become excited about the day one again, just it automatically opens these doors for new patients to literally flood into your office. And it really truly is almost like magic, where as soon as that flip of the switch flips in your mind and in your energy and in your vibration, you become like a human magnet for new people. So I actually just did a boot camp here in my office this past weekend. It was amazing. Just a couple of things that are coming up in Thrive pretty soon is we are going to be opening our office to about 5 other chiropractors. So keep an eye out for this. We will be starting to promote it. We don't have an exact weekend date yet, but we are going to be opening up our office for at least 5 chiropractic offices to come to our office on a Thursday afternoon. observe the office flow at high volume and just to see how that pace and how that flow goes and how the team works together and communicates. And then we'll be holding a boot camp in the office for these 5 offices on Friday from like 9 to 2, 9 to 3 kind of thing. And on a Saturday, also 9 to 2, 9 to 3. So nice and short, but really chock full of nuts. And we're going to go through everything from literally the day 1 phone call and what that looks like all the way through re-exams, re-signs, daily visits, you name it, we're going to be training on it. And it is going to be a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am kind of weekend. We just did one this past weekend and it was truly transformative and truly amazing. So I'm going to use just a couple of slides. So I'm going to share my screen right now, and I'm going to use just a couple of slides from that workshop that I put together for you. And the first thing that we're going to chat about is, what is your why? And that kind of goes along with what we had talked about, just a minute ago. Let me do let's do this slide. Okay. So what is your why? That goes along once again with what we were chatting about. And your why is just as important, if not as important as the actual systems, actually what you do and what you say on the day 1. So, why is it important that you enjoy that day 1? Why is it important that that day 1 is effortless for you? Is it because you want to make a bigger impact in your community? Do you want to serve more families and save more lives? Do you want to make a bigger impact in humanity? I firmly, firmly believe that if the majority of the world's population was under regular chiropractic care, the world that we live in would be completely different. And I believe that in the deepest part of my body, in the deepest part of my soul, I believe that if the majority of the world's population was under regular chiropractic care, our world would be very different than it is today. Is it that you have, or you want to have a greater life's purpose? Do you want to work for something greater than yourself? And I love this quote. I came across it. It's by Steve Pavlina. He says, hard work is painful. Hard work is painful when life is devoid of purpose. But when you live for something greater than yourself and the gratification of your own ego, then hard work becomes a labor of love. And, that's kind of where my friend got to, where he just kind of got a little burnt out with trying to take people from where they are to where we believe is a better place for them to be, in the chiropractic universe instead of the medical universe, right? And so that brings us to the first point and the first challenge that most people have in communication is perspective. And what does that mean? That means that if you think about why as practitioners, sometimes we may feel like we're trying to convince people, or we're trying to sell people, or we're trying to twist people's arms to do something, it's because of perspective. And the problem, the villain in the story, if you will, is that when a person comes to your office, 98, 99% of the time, maybe even a higher percentage, they are coming to your office because they believe that you are a doctor that is a musculoskeletal doctor, and they believe that they are coming to you for musculoskeletal problems. And here's the problem with that. You're like over here, and as a chiropractor, you have a totally different belief system. Your belief is that chiropractic is to enhance the function of the nervous system. You believe that chiropractic is to remove interference in the communication between the brain and the body, so that the body has a better ability or potential to be able to heal and regulate itself, right? And so you believe that you're more of a nervous system doctor, right? So you can see already right from the get-go why chiropractors get so frustrated on this day 1 and why they feel like they're having to twist somebody's arm to have a different belief system. So now if you had certain communication tools and skills, though, that wouldn't be the case. If you had certain communication skills and tools that we're going to talk about today, what you would find is you would find that you can use these skills and these tools in order to take the patient from the belief system that they are and have them cross what I call the imaginary bridge. And the imaginary bridge is the experience, right? Sometimes we try to educate our way through this. You can't educate the patient's way through this. But the imaginary bridge is an experience that you give them on day one in order to um, transform, in order to influence, in order to persuade. I just recently learned that is not a bad word, persuade, by my good friend, Dr. Dustin. Dr. Dustin wrote an awesome book. If you guys go back to last week's Wednesday workshop, you guys will get a nice piece of communication with Dustin. He is awesome. He's a rock star chiropractor and he's just killing it. And he talks about the power of persuasion, right? So all this stuff can be done with ease and it can be totally effortless. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip a few slides here. So these are just some of the slides that we go through in our boot camp. Okay. And now let's get into how do we influence our patients in an effortless way, to take them from a musculoskeletal belief system into a holistic wellness lifestyle system, right? From an outside in system, which is the medical system, to an inside out system of care. Okay. The first thing that I want you guys to stop doing is stop educating your patient. Okay. Stop educating them. They're not learning what chiropractic is through education. And you think about it. I want you guys right now to think back to the 5th grade. Can you guys recall any piece of information that you remembered from the 5th grade? Anything that your teacher taught you, whether it be in math, English language, reading, history. Can you recall any specific piece of information that was taught to you in the 5th grade? Probably not. Maybe just a couple of you out there watching this, you super geniuses out there. But for most of us, we're going to be like, heck no, I don't remember the name of my 5th grade teacher's name, right? But now if I asked you to go back in time and think about 5th grade, can you recall a memory that you have from the 5th grade, an experience that you had? Many of you can, and maybe it's not specifically the 5th grade, but many of you can remember or recall experiences that you had way back in the past that taught you a lesson. See, it wasn't information you were given, it was an experience that taught you a lesson. And because that lesson left an emotional imprint on your mind and your body, you remembered the information that you learned from that lesson. You guys follow me? Your patients work and learn exactly that same way. Okay. So if you get them in and you think that you're going to transform their thinking in a 30-minute or 60-minute day one because of educating them, you're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. It might happen by chance, by happenstance, but I don't want you guys functioning by happenstance, because that's where you're going to get frustrated, because the majority of the people are going to come out the other end. They're never going to fully cross the bridge. They're going to come out the other end and they're going to be like, Doc, I get it. Everything that you say is really cool. And thank you so much for spending so much time to me. It really makes sense. Thank you for taking the time to educate me, but my sciatic is still here. It's still bugging me, Doc, right? That's what you're going to get. How many times have you gotten it, right? So you need to create a transformative experience for them right on the day one. And there's a name for that. We actually call that the Disney experience, right? So let's run through here the day one. So the day one starts with the greeting. And the greeting, so the whole conversion of the patient. I don't know if you guys like that word. You can use some groups use sales, like some groups talk about the sales process of the patient. I use the word conversion because that's just what resonates with me. But the whole process of taking the patient, because really you're converting the patient. And I don't mean like in a sales way. I mean in like a mental and emotional, a belief system way. You're converting a belief system from one belief system to another belief system, right? So so there's a couple of things that that you can do that can make this really easy. So the conversion starts from the moment the patient has contact with your office. So every little thing that happens on that day, and it's not, and it even goes before this day, it actually starts on the day one phone call. But everything that happens on that day, it is important that it's done properly, not only by the doctor, but also by the entire team. All right. So with the greeting, a couple of rules that we have in our office: never let the patient wait. So in our office, we have a very, very high volume office. And during certain times of the day, it can be very hectic. So this is a true story. This happened to me early in practice. I had a new patient come in. They came in, and for whatever reason, they were not taken right back to the exam room, and they were waiting at the front area, and there were people walking in, walking out, walking in, walking out, and it was busy. I mean, my office was like a busy like bus terminal, right? And they got up, they put their paperwork on the front desk, and they told my CA, this office isn't for me. It is just way too busy. We're leaving. And that's a true story, right? So we never let the patient kind of lollygag. We never really let them wait at the front. We take them, the CA comes right around from the front desk, meets them as soon as they walk into the office. They are greeted with a warm, smiley welcome. The energy of that front desk, guys, get this. The energy, the vibrational energy, the vibrational frequency of your front desk person has to be higher than the highest vibrating patient that you have, okay? We don't have time to really get into that on Wednesday workshop. In fact, this workshop is probably going to go a little bit longer than it usually does, but that front desk CA has to have an exceptionally high vibrational frequency, okay? They come around the front desk, they have a warm welcome, a smile, and they greet the patient always palm up, and they look at the patient right eye to right eye. There's a reason for that. I'm going to skip over that for right now because, once again, for the sake of time. And one of the first things that we do is we compliment the referral source. So after we say hello, after we introduce ourselves, after we welcome them into the office, the very next thing that we do is we compliment the referral source. Now, there's a reason for that. What is that reason? Well, on the day one, we're complimenting their referral source maybe 4 or 5 times just on the day one alone. The reason is that we're planting the seeds on a subconscious level that we are a referral-based practice, and they will probably be referring too as well, right? Because you guys love referrals just as much as I do, don't you? Then the next thing that we do, as soon as right after they're greeted, is we show them around the office. Now, we never say to the patient, I'm going to take you on a tour. No, that's like ridiculous. Don't say that. And to say you're going to ask the patient permission to show them around. So, Mary, would it be okay if I show you around the office on our way back to the exam room? You're never going to get an objection if you ask that way. Now, here's the purpose of the tour. The purpose of your tour is not to show them around the office. You're like, well, Nicole, you just told me. You just told me that I'm asking them if I could show them around the office. Yeah, that's not the purpose of this. The purpose is to state change, right? So the person is going to learn information, because that's you're about to rewire their belief system from medicine to chiropractic, right? And so they have to be in a certain emotional and physiological state in order to be able to have that transformation, to have that belief system conversion, right? And so here's the stats on this. 8 out of 10, so 80% of the people that walk into your office are vibrating at a very low vibrational frequency. Usually their emotional state is something like anger, guilt, fear, shame. That's how the majority of the world population That's the physiological state that the majority of the world population lives in, right? So they're not going to be very open to a whole lot of new ideas if they're functioning in fear. Okay. So the purpose of that tour is to take 1 to 2 minutes. That's all you're taking, is 1 to 2 minutes to state change the patient and get them up into a place of love, to get them up to a place of peace, relaxation. So those are the emotions that by the time that doctor walks in to do the pre-consultation, that's what the patient should be feeling. Okay, as you're doing the tour, especially doctors, this is not a time for you to talk doctor talk. This is a time where you want to lead with your physiology, and this is a time where you want to make the stations in your office relevant to the patient's lifestyle. Okay. Okay. So this is the David Hawkins map of consciousness. I'll let you guys search that and research that on your own. But basically what I was talking about just a second ago is 8 out of 10 of your people are walking in at like anger, fear, grief, and they really need to be up at joy, love, reason, and peace, right? That's where they're going to be. That's where their subconscious is going to be open to new ideas. Okay, so the pre-consultation. So in my most humble opinion, the pre-consultation is the most important step. The pre-consultation is the most important step in the day one. And the reason why that is because the pre-consultation sets the foundation for everything else that the patient is going to go through. It lays out the expectation to the patient of who you are and what you do as a chiropractor. Okay. The reason why it says give Jenny and Caitlin scripts is because the doctor does not have to do the pre-consultation. In fact, I highly recommend, if you want to serve more people, if you want to have a high volume practice, I highly recommend you train your CAs to do it. Here's the deal, you guys. Are you ready for this one? It's going to blow your mind. I've been in practice for 25 years, and I've had a multitude of chiropractors working in my office. And I've had multiple chiropractors working in my office at one time, and then multitudes of chiropractors at different times and different seasons of my life. And I will tell you that I have had CAs rock this out even better than some of my associate chiropractors. No offense, guys, if you're watching this, but our CAs rock this out. So don't be afraid to train your CA on how to do this. They can absolutely do this for you, and it will increase your capacity to serve more people. During the pre-consultation, you are getting at least 14 different agreements with your patient. Why? Because every agreement that you get, guys, is one step over the bridge, right? You wouldn't expect a person to leap from one end of the bridge all the way over to the other end of the bridge, would you? No, you're going to take micro steps, baby steps, and each step you have to get either a verbal or a non-verbal agreement and commitment that they are with you and they are in agreement with you on that step with that piece of information that you're feeding them. Does that make sense? So hopefully say yes. If you guys are watching this, I know this is recorded because I stink at Facebook Lives, but leave me some comments, leave me some feedback on this so that I know where to go with these Wednesday workshops for you. If you guys are not getting this, let me know in the comments. Say, Doc, I'm not getting it. What did you mean by this? Or what did you mean by that? Okay. All right. So the next thing that I've seen people do is sometimes I've seen docs get so nervous about the close or about the sale because they're so focused on closing a patient that they forget to build a relationship with the patient. And so they move on through the pre-consultation, even when they innately know that the patient is not following along with them, or they innately know that they said something that the patient isn't in total agreement with. That is a no-no. Try not to do that if you can. Use your intuition, use your innate. You guys all know, you get that little pit in your stomach that tells you they didn't say anything. They didn't say that they don't agree with me, but I could just feel something I just said does not resonate with them. If you feel that, you have to go back and address it, and you cannot move forward onto the next thing until you clear that out, until you clear that belief system out. Does that make sense? Say yes if it does. If this is making sense to you, comment in the comment boxes below that this is making sense to you. That's how I know how to teach you. Okay. Start changing the patient's belief system about their health, where health comes from, and how to take care of their families. This is very sensitive because you're changing belief systems that have been there for many decades. This was, I'll share this with you, right? There are no such thing as failures. Will you guys agree with me? Only learning experiences. And so I had a patient come in. She was 90 years old, and she was referred to me by another medical office. And the medical doctor, because medical doctors also believe that we are musculoskeletal doctors, the medical doctor referred her to us for a musculoskeletal problem. And she was 90 years old. And so she had 90 years of medical belief systems drilled, wired into her subconscious. And I go through the day one with her. I thought I had her following, right? Once again, no judgment here. We all do this. I think we all do this. I get her to the day two, and she goes, well, when are you going to prescribe me some medication? And I was like, oh my goodness, where did you miss the boat? What did I miss here? I must have missed something, right? And so why am I sharing this with you? Well, I'm sharing this with you for a lot of different reasons. Number one, I want you to know that there is nobody perfect in this. You're always going to have someone or people that they're just so wired into the medical system that it could take days of repetition and repetition and repetition to get them out of it. And number two, the longer a person has a belief system, has a belief system, this woman's 90, the harder it is to rewire that belief. The harder it is to convert that belief system, right? So anyway, that was my story on that one. Okay. So the next thing that we do in our office, because we practice chiropractic biophysics, is we check posture. So we let the patient know that we're going to be checking their posture, that we're going to be using a computerized analysis to check their posture. And we let them know what a distorted posture means if we do see postural distortion. So we let them know that any postural distortions that we see will let us know where the spine is injured, where the structure is weak, and where the energy to vital organs of the body is being shut down. Then we go into the consultation with the patient. And this is where we're always reinforcing the pre-consultation. And so we let the patient know in the pre-consultation that you can have subluxations and not all the time do you feel pain. In fact, by the time you feel pain, what that means is that the nerves in that area are already inflamed, and then the energy from the brain that's traveling through that part of the nervous system is already dimmed down. So here is our little script, if you will, for the consultation. But what I want you to get most importantly about this is that the consultation, the purpose of the consultation is not necessarily to get a health history, is it? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're going to locate the subluxations regardless of the aches, pains, and symptoms that they have, right? And we're going to correct those subluxations to remove interference in the nervous system so the brain can start talking to the body, and the body is able to heal itself, right? And so from a chiropractic perspective, do we have to really take a history? No, we don't, in my opinion. Now, do we want to know certain things, like do they have a history of stroke or cancer and things like that? Of course we do. I'm not being ridiculous here, but we also know that our primary care for the patient is going to be based on subluxation. Okay. So if the purpose of the consultation is not necessarily to get symptoms, then what is it for? Well, what we use it for in our office is to build a relationship. And so it's here in the consultation. Actually, this may take us In some cases, it can take us up to 15 or 20 minutes with the patient. It's the longest portion or the longest part of the day one exam, because this is where we're building the relationship. This is where yes, we are asking them about their condition, but also at the same time, we're finding out what's important to them. We're finding out what are their deepest goals and desires. We're finding out from them who they really are. We're finding out what do they really want? What do they really want? Because here's the key, you guys. Are you ready for the key for like 90+% to have 90+% conversions? The key is very simple. If you can figure out what a person wants and you can show them how your service will support what they want, they will never not convert for care in your office. It's really that easy. It's really that simple. Okay. And so then what we do is we do our examination. And in our office, we always take x-rays in any areas where we find subluxations. We take x-rays in those areas. We analyze the x-rays that night. And then if there's anything that we can do to help the patient, which of course, if they have subluxations, we can, then we let the patient know tomorrow and they come back the very next day for their report of findings. And I want to hone that in to you the very next day. All right, you guys, so that is the day one. Hopefully that gave you some value. Hopefully that led you in a direction to create your own day one. And here, I'll take you guys off of screen share this way. Whoa, there I am. Okay. And we look forward to chatting with you and hanging out with you guys next Wednesday. Just a couple of housekeeping things. If you like this type of Wednesday workshop, leave it in the comments below, because we can go on to the day two, which is our conversion day. It doesn't have to be your conversion day, but it's our conversion day. So we can even go on to the day two next week if you would like. Or if you prefer having guests like we did last week with Dr. Dustin, just let me know. And I do this for you guys. Like, I don't get paid to do this page or this group, I should say. I do it because I love contributing back to the profession, and I love practice. And I just really want you guys to love it as much as I love it. Housekeeping things with Thrive. We have 2 Thrive members that have just opened practices. And so what that means is that now we have 2 spots open for our Jumpstart program. So we're going to have an open enrollment starting now, actually, because those 2 people have graduated into our next program. So we have 2 spots that are open for our Jumpstart program. And the Jumpstart program is for those of you who are either thinking about opening a practice or getting ready to open your practice within the next year, 6 months to a year. And the course takes you through every step that you need to know in order to open up a practice that is authentic to you, and that will rock literally from day one. Literally, you will have, I had 90 new patients on my schedule, so I can literally teach you how to have 90 new patients on your schedule the first week to month that you're open for practice. So if you are truly ready to rock, don't call me, don't reach out to me if you are not ready to kick some ass, because I'm not that kind of person. I'm not a slow moving kind of person, right? But if you really want to kill it in practice, you call me, you reach out to me, and I will teach you exactly how to do it. All right, guys, many blessings. Enjoy your holiday week, and I'll see you next week.